Welcome to Radio Bravery Live. This is a special report live on this beautiful morning. And I don't want to revel, but the globalist domino Zbigniew Brzezinski died today. And he's joining David Rockefeller in hell. And I've got a bit of a smile on my face, I gotta say. Let's crank it up. Zbigniew Brzezinski died last night. National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter dies at 89. It's about time. The hawkish strategic theorist who was a national security advisor to President Jimmy Carter in the tumultuous years of the Iran hostage crisis and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the late 1970s died on Friday at a hospital in Virginia. He was 89 years, way too old. His death at Inova Fairfax Hospital in Falls Church was announced Friday by his daughter, Mika Brzezinski, a propagandist for MSNBC, on the program Morning Joe, who has been quoted, Mika Brzezinski, talking about how they produce the narrative. They are in control of the narrative there on their propaganda channel. So yeah, Zbigniew Brzezinski is now dead. And I don't want to revel too much in the pleasure, but I'm glad to see another globalist domino fall. As populism rises, we'll go over his Wikipedia right now. Born March 28th, 1928. He was a Polish-American diplomat and political science. He served as a counselor to President Lyndon B. Johnson and was President Jimmy Carter's national security advisor from 77 to 81. Brzezinski belonged to a realist school of international relations, standing in the geopolitical tradition of Halford Mackinder and Nicholas J. Spikeman. Major foreign policy events during his time in office included the normalization of relations with the People's Republic of China and the severing of ties with the Republic of China on Taiwan. The signing of the Second Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, the brokering of the Camp David Accords, the transition of Iran from an important U.S. ally to an anti-Western Islamic republic, encouraging dissidents in Eastern Europe and emphasizing human rights in order to undermine the influence of the Soviet Union, the arming of the Mujahideen in response to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and the signing of the Torrijos-Carter treaties, relinquishing U.S. control of the Panama Canal after 1999. Goes on to say, he just died here, age 89. This guy, if you look at his Wikipedia, it is just fucking huge. This guy has got an incredible background, and you might not even know who he is. So let's look at a couple things that people might be talking about right now. Former Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush offer praise to the late Zbigniew Brzezinski. This just came out at 8:19 this morning. Former Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush offered praise to late Zbigniew Brzezinski, National Security Advisor to former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away Friday evening. Zbigniew Brzezinski was an accomplished public servant, a powerful intellect, and a passionate advocate for American leadership. His influence spanned several decades, and I was one of several presidents who benefited from his wisdom and counsel, Obama said in a statement Saturday. Brzezinski served as Carter's blah, 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 blah. Yep, we've already gone over that. So you have George Bush and Barack Obama both Just, oh, Zbigniew, oh, thank you, buddy. So good. Such a great American. Well, let's look at this article from Rense.com. From Webster Tarpley, the renowned journalist Webster Tarpley confirmed Obama is Zbigniew Brzezinski puppet. Goes on to say, the most danger of all, Zbigniew is the most obvious mastermind of the massive destabilization of China now ongoing, starting with the CIA/MI6 Tibet insurrection, which has placed the U.S. on a collision course with China, a superpower with 1.4 billion people and the thermonuclear weapons which can strike U.S. cities, a far cry from the helpless and defenseless targets preferred by the neocons. It is an open secret that Zbigniew intended to attempt a color revolution or CIA people power coup in China under the cover of Beijing Olympics later that year. He may also make the Taiwan crisis explode. This is an article from 2008, but just going over some background of what Zbigniew Brzezinski was involved in at that time. Then we have this article from RT, where we can break down some quotes from Zbigniew Brzezinski just to give you a little background on who this guy really was. This is from RT, Eurasian Chessboard and Total Surveillance. I like that headline. 10 quotes by the late Zbigniew Brzezinski. Let's read these quotes right now. Regret what? That secret operation aid to the opponents of the pro-Soviet regime in Kabul was an excellent idea. It had the effect of drawing the Russians into an Afghan trap. Here's another one. Soon it will be possible to assert almost continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Let's look at this one. The key point to bear in mind is that Russia cannot be in Europe without Ukraine also being in Europe, whereas Ukraine can be in Europe without Russia being in Europe. Oh, very anti-Russian rhetoric there. Here's another quote. The Israelis are becoming increasingly like the white supremacist South Africans, viewing the Palestinians as a lower form of life, not hesitating to kill a great many of them. Here's another one. We have a large public that is very ignorant about public affairs and very susceptible to simplistic slogans by candidates who appear out of nowhere, have no track record, but mouth-appealing slogans. Here's another one. Though Stalinism may be a needless tragedy for both the Russian people and communism as an ideal, there is the intellectually tantalizing possibility that for the world at large it was a blessing in disguise. Oh, wow. Stalinism was a blessing in disguise. I had no idea. Here's another one. Free movement of people can have enormous monumental dimensions, and I don't think that any country in Western Europe or in America can any longer adopt the idea of totally free movement of people. Oh, wow. Sounds like he wants to control freedom from people. That's weird. Here's another one. Sovereignty is a word that is used often, but it has really no specific meaning. Sovereignty today is nominal. Any number of countries that are sovereign only nominally and relatively. Here's another one from Zbigniew Brzezinski, the globalist domino that just fell. For America, the chief geopolitical prize is Eurasia. America's global primacy is directly dependent on how long and how effectively its preponderance on the Eurasian continent is sustained. And here is the last one from RT, Russia Today, RT.com. The mistake of the Iraq War are not only tactical and strategic but historical. It is essentially a war on colonialism attempted in the post-colonial age. And let me get to our last quote here from Zbigniew Brzezinski as I will play the clip for you. It is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. And that is Zbigniew Brzezinski on, I believe, CNN, doing an interview there. But you can find that on globalresearch.ca or Anon News or whatever. We've got plenty of more background here on Zbigniew Brzezinski. If you go and look it up for yourself, you can see he was tight little buddies with Osama bin Laden, and those quotes were a little troubling, weren't they? But here on Radio Bravery Live, we like to take solace in the positive moments and remind ourselves that there is good out there and that globalist dominoes do fall and populism and freedom will rise again, and we will take this country back, we will take this world back, and we will win, because good is on our side, and in this battle of good and evil, good will always prevail. Zbigniew Brzezinski, sorry buddy, but I hope you're having a good time in hell, because that's where you belong, with David Rockefeller and the rest of the globalists trying to take over our humanity and our freedom. But right now, it's a beautiful morning without Zbigniew Brzezinski. Thank you so much for joining me live. YouTube.com/RadioBravery. Please subscribe today. The globalist dominoes will continue to fall, and we will continue to cover it here on Radio Bravery Live. Radio Bravery Live, YouTube.com/RadioBravery, Facebook.com/RadioBravery. Zbigniew Brzezinski, you're out, buddy. And that's a message to the rest of the globalists out there. The dominoes will fall, the chips will fall, and it will never be in your favor. Good will prevail. RadioBravery.com, YouTube.com/RadioBravery. Beautiful morning without Zbigniew Brzezinski.